Hey, everybody, Jim Cummings here. And if Tigger were here, he'd say, thanks, everybody, for bouncing on in here and enjoying the show. But before we go, I want you to do me a small favor. Hit like, subscribe, and give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying the show. Now, speaking of enjoying the show, enjoy the show.
Hey guys, Dando here, and I just want to give you all a heads up that the audio of this week's episode of Toon'd with Jim Cummings really varies in quality due to unforeseen tech issues at the time of recording that we were all unaware of. Our editors have done all they can to salvage what we were left with, and I think they've done a pretty tip-top job. But regardless, we apologize in advance, and we hope you still enjoy this week's episode of Toon'd with Jim Cummings featuring the one and only Pamela Adlon.
I mean, this man sitting next to me is... I have, you know, I look at everybody like in my life as my teacher and my mentor, but like truly my mentor in voiceover and animation. It was the days of Jim Kirby on Sunset.
Yeah. Sure.
And Ponchik.
Bert Bars and Kirby.
Yeah. And I remember sitting in Ponchik. Remember the little place downstairs?
Oh, yeah.
That had rice pilaf, like the Russian deli. Right. And it was you and Pat Music. And I was feed me, Seymour. Teach me your ways. That was early. I think that was even before I'd broken into animation and I was doing like strictly radio. And when I started, it was like, I was doing radio, like I got hired to do that 7-Eleven campaign with Jim Kirby, who used to smoke in the studio with me, and he was like, "Oh yeah, all right," and he would like start the session, and he'd be like, "Young Kevin, always on the go," and I'd be like, "Hey Dad, I've got a big thirst for a big gulp, because I'm always on the go. Can I borrow the car?" And I did that for like 5 years, and I just wanted to do Toon'd. I wanted to do animation, and my first one was Rugrats. And it was just like guest starring, and like I was in the green room with Cree and EG and Kath.
All the boys.
Yes.
All the boys.
All of us boys.
Yeah, yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, young women were always boys in cartoons because their voice wasn't going to change.
Yeah, and they like I used to say, you know, call me the cleaner, like Harvey Keitel in Pulp Fiction, because like I remember doing a show called Bobby's World, which was the Howie Mandel show. Yes. And I was the third Derek. Like he had 3 brothers. They kept casting like real teenage boys. And of course their balls dropped and they couldn't. So I would say, they call me the cleaner. And I would come in and just take over and
your balls are drop free. Yeah. So you were fine.
Well, I was born with my balls dropped. So.
Yes, they were.
And eggs.
There was nowhere to go. That's right. Oh, God. I'm so happy that you're here. It's been so long.
I'm so happy to be here with you.
You know, I have so many fond memories of all the crazy things.
Screen music.
Yeah, pulling in there and just getting paid to, you know, act out. And
I remember you telling me the story, and I'm quoting from memory, and I've since had 3 children, and they're all grown and out of my house, which is unbelievable to me. And I remember you telling me that you started because you were in school and you would always have drumsticks.
Yeah. Yep.
And can you tell about that? About starting and doing voices in class and.
Oh well, yeah. It's I said it before. I make my living doing stuff that used to get me kicked out of class. Yeah. It's so true. And I. You know, I can remember very vividly sitting on my dad's knee. We were watching Jack Benny. And Mel Blanc came out, and he started doing, hey, how you do, you know, doing all that. He had this Mexican routine that he did. And my dad goes, you see this bastard? Everybody was a bastard to my dad. You see this bastard? I'll tell you what, he does all that Tasmanian devil and the Daffy Duck and the Bugs Bunny and the Sylvester. He's the guy that does the voices. And the first thing that hit me was he doesn't have to stand in the corner for being a weirdo.
Yeah.
That would be me. So I figured if I aim to that, maybe I get to be him, sort of. And so now I'm him, sort of. And it worked out.
You are completely, it's unbelievable. Like this brush with the king. Like this brush with Mel Blanc, and that your father kind of orchestrated that.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, well, by telling me that there was no way it was going to happen. Yeah, but what are you going to do for a living? No, that's what I'll do. Okay, but how are you going to eat? I'm going to do it really well.
And how.
Yeah.
And how.
And so here we are, right?
Wow.
Yeah. Did you have that drive? When did you know that this, you know what, I'm going to aim over here and I'm going to produce, I'm going to write, I'm going to direct, I'm going to act?
I love that you're asking me this and being here with you and talking about the beginnings. Mm-hmm. I think that a big part of, where I am is all starting from my voice. And, my big influence in what I do in animation was Wacky Races and Snaggletooth. Mm-hmm. Snagglepuss.
Puss, yes.
Snagglepuss. And
Exit stage right, even.
We've been ousted, dismissed, fired even.
Yeah, that's the
yeah. And I just and my mother always called me Penelope Pitstop. Mm. And I was very kind of, I remember seeing Errol Flynn in a Bugs Bunny cartoon, but he was Errol Flynn in real life. And he flew in on a vine, as Robin Hood, and landed. And he's the real guy, and Bugs was Bugs, and that cracked my head open.
How did I not see that one?
I mean, it just was huge, and I remember watching it on TV in the 70s, and just being like, "You can do that." My dad was a writer and producer. Mm-hmm. And my dad was, he used to write comics, and he started out writing for Dell. And
I know, I read that. That boggles my mind.
Yeah, it's a big part of, my upbringing. And I was there when Origins of Marvel Comics came out, when Stan Lee wrote that. And in New York City, in probably 1969 or 70. And I still have my original copy. And, now everything is so monetized, and then it was so pure.
Yeah.
Even though the way the world is right now, succubusing itself and just corporate has, led everything, and you feel like the entire industry is going to hang up its jersey from the rafters in about 2 years. But I feel like there's going to be a shift. And, I spoke to two incredible creatives today before you. You're the whole, you make it three. You are the Holy Trinity. Of saying, we don't need to make a lot of money, and we don't need a lot of money to make the art we want to make. And, that's kind of the thing, through the years, when, I was just an actor, because that's all I could allow myself to aspire to. But I was writing since I was a teenager. I've had a camera or a recording device attached to my eye or my hand since I was 12 years old.
Wow.
I used to go to Yale Lab in Hollywood, and
so you knew early on too. You knew.
Yeah, but I didn't know I could make a living at it.
Oh, okay.
But
that's interesting.
You kind of were also you're a guy.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I guess. But in
you
animation,
make a hell of a good. Yeah, you are. I was going to say, Bobby.
Yeah.
That's my bad.
No, it's good.
Bobby. Okay, I'm done.
No, I was just at lunch at this place on Vineland, the farmhouse, in that hotel. And the waiter comes over and he's like, the chef knows you're here and he's getting this tattooed. And he shows me like his phone. He like leaves it on the table of Bobby, and he said he wants you to write something that he can overlay. I'm like, this is a lot of pressure.
Oh my God! And he's gonna have a
like, what if I don't write it good?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
I had people do that.
I know.
And then they come back like at a convention on a Friday. Here, would you sign this?
Yeah. And so,
and then she brings it back and it's my name, and I go, I wouldn't have. I would have spelled it.
I know. I would have taken a calligraphy class. Come on.
Something.
It's been kind of just the reflection on, I've always been doing this stuff, but there was a point where I couldn't pay my rent, and it's always been voiceover and animation that has been my bread and butter. And it doesn't matter. Like, I was on TV and I made enough money to buy my first apartment when I was a teenager.
Wow.
But I got fired. And then I wasn't on TV anymore. And
why'd you get fired?
What was the role? The TV show?
I was on a show called The Facts of Life, and like, it was later in the later seasons, and they were trying everybody. You know, like, I think it was like me and Molly Ringwald and George Clooney and Felice Schachter and Mackenzie Aston. Like, they tried all of us, and we all got the boot. And but that was the days that they had like really a lot of money. So my mother was really smart. She invested my money in an apartment. But then later, you know, I was in my 20s. I could not pay the rent. I had to go to Aaron's on La Brea, the record store. Do you remember it?
I sure do.
And I had to sell my record collection to pay my rent. And then I started doing, you know, I started getting parts and getting hired. And like, I met you and Pat and, you know, and Ginny McSwain. Like, and so you'd meet people. And they'd be like, okay, I know Jimmy can do all these characters, and get Pammy in here. She could be the mom, the army man, and the son. Like, you know, like we had range for days.
That's right.
Jeff Bennett, BW, Billy West, John DiMaggio, Chris Kavanaugh, rest her soul, Dana Hill, rest her soul, who was like my best friend, and you know, we made the transition because we couldn't quite make it on camera. And there was that old joke in those days, you know, she's got a face for radio.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was usually about me. But yes.
Well,
he's got a face for the microphone.
No.
That's great.
But you know
what? So what?
That's how I met Mark Hamill, and Mark was like the funniest person in the world. And you're like, wait, you're funny. Like, what?
And he's the greatest guy on the block,
the best.
And it's funny, I'll bet he was more excited to meet you than you were to meet him.
Oh, my God. I was a nobody when I worked with Mark.
Well, I don't know about that. But he's a historian. You know, he knows the guy who did the third caveman on the right and the 8th episode of the Flintstones.
Have you had him on this?
Not yet.
We got to get him on.
We got to get him on this.
I call him.
I'll call him. You call him.
We'll all pile on. But I did a series with Mark and Rob Paulson called Time Squad.
Okay. Yeah.
Dave Wasson's show. He's the guy who does Cuphead now.
Oh.
And it was a great show.
Yeah. I like the Cuphead show too.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, and it's like Fleischer, like the flavor of Fleischer.
I love that. It's a real throwback.
Yeah, it's incredible. You should have Mauricio on this show too, from Rockin' Tunes. He's the guy who's like saving the Fleischer library.
Oh.
And I met Jane Fleischer, Max's granddaughter, with Mauricio. And he's like the kid of Mexican immigrants who's obsessed with old animation, old school. Like, he's just like a really incredible guy. But Time Squad with Mark Hamill and Rob Paulson, we did it at Cartoon Network. And my God, It was the greatest.
Yeah.
Most inappropriate sessions
in
the world. And
well, you must have been shocked.
we would have, oh my God, and we would do some things. Anyway, I mean, and everybody was in that show. Like, everybody came through. Tom Kenny, Kevin Michael Richardson. And there were people who would come in and do things that would blow my mind. Like people who were just people and you don't remember their names. And like one guy came in and did every single character from The Wizard of Oz, like within 60 seconds. And it was just like, I remember being in sessions
That's pretty good.
Sessions with Jeff Bennett, Billy West, and like the creators of the show, total firepower, the creators of the show going, what else you got? And they're like flipping through their Rolodex.
Yeah, well, Jeff's amazing. He can come up with stuff left, right, and center.
Incredible.
Yeah, unbelievable. Got to get him on here one of these days.
Yeah.
That's for sure. That is for sure.
We'll tag team.
Yeah. That sounds good. We'll tag team, Jeff. How you doing down there, Brendan?
I'm good. I'm just loving that this is somewhat of a King of the Hill reunion because we got Bobby and Pops.
Oh, yeah.
Did you remember Jim was on King of the Hill, Pamela?
I was an old feller there.
Oh, my God.
On King of the Hill.
That's so good.
There's duties in that bag there.
Oh, my God.
Yes, there is, Pop. And then he would,
Oh, my
do
God.
his thing.
We need to have Pops back.
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't even have to try very hard now.
So good.
Just some old fart.
How's the reboot going? Have you finished recording everything yet, or?
Yeah. It's coming out next year. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know they revealed that Bobby's now older and a chef or something, but it's pretty exciting. I mean, I'm a huge King of the Hill fan, so I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, me too. I learned a lot about writing for myself as a writer from being on King of the Hill. And, I remember some people would be like, it's a cartoon. I'm like, back off. Because it wasn't. It was so much more like it was. It was like this 2D animation, but
it was a really well written sitcom.
The way it was so grounded, and they would let moments happen and be organic. It was just really an extraordinary experience. It really was. The writing was incredible.
Yeah, yes, it was.
It was really, really.
And
incredible.
they really did. It was so subtle. Bobby's inclination, his predilection. You had the idea that once he hit puberty, it was stand back.
Yeah.
Because Mom, I'm going to be in your closet for a while here.
Yeah.
Don't just.
But everybody thought that Bobby was gay or whatever. But
it was
he was a ladies' man. Like, I mean, you got to see. He was the next Dalai Lama. He like rubbed chocolate all over his chest for, Connie and Marie, and he was
That's
more
pretty romantic.
He was more layered. He was much more layered than the surface.
Than one would. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's too much.
Yeah.
What's keeping you the busiest these days? Do you care to even be busy? Are you done with it all?
Yeah, I have a lot of energy since my youngest daughter just moved out of the house.
Bless you.
And that, I directed my first feature, which came out this year, and it premiered at South by Southwest. Babes.
Babes.
Yeah. And did you see it? No.
Coming up.
Anyway.
I've seen many scenes. I've seen the milk scene.
Oh, there you go. Tripping on mushrooms. Milk spurts through her shirt. But I was gonna say I have that effect on microphones. They just go pew. So, I'm still very much working. I'm not I've been trying to get my film made that I wrote 4.5 years ago. But, in the past, since I became a boss and a director and running sets and everything, the business is like taken a sideways turn. because there's been all the mergers, like the mergers are killing everything. And then we had COVID, and then we have the strike. Yeah, I'm very motivated. I do, even though I'm working all the time, I do a lot of mentorship. And so I bring people along with me. And when I'm working to shadow me, I just feel like everybody has space next to them when they're working to raise people up and help them and teach them. And,
that's well said.
And I feel like, since you are, and I've always called you my OG mentor in voiceover, that it's kind of, everything is like, the synchronicity of everything right now is kind of cool.
I don't know what to say. That's wonderful. God bless you. Thank you.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You've done so many different walks in the entertainment business, directing, voice acting, acting on camera, yada, yada, yada. Do you have a favorite creative endeavor, pursuit? Or is it just kind of the whole creation that gets you going?
I like working. I'm not a snob. I like to do anything. And, from like my first movie, which was Grease 2, on camera, which is like so silly that, when I think back to it, then I went back to school and it was like I was punished for having a job in Hollywood. And all I wanted to do was like hammer a nail into a set or just be part of things. So I don't discern, but if I had a choice now, number one, it was just only to work with good collaborative people. I have no room for assholes in my life. I'm in my 50s. I have worked.
Be up to speed by the time you get to me. That's all.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I have been taking care of people for a long, long time. And I've been responsible since I was a teenager. And so I just really don't waste my time. Don't waste my time. Do you want me here? Don't thirst trap me here. Let's work together. Very collaborative. And I'm just looking for the right next thing because, when you direct a feature, that's 2 years of your life. When you do a show, that's every second of your day.
Well, that's for sure, huh?
Yeah. And, this morning, I just, I had a conversation with Mark Duplass, who's somebody we really like each other, what we do. And it's kind of like, it's like tribe. We want to find something together and it doesn't have to be expensive. And we're talking about that. So it's these splinter factions are happening within our industry, with music, with animation, with art, with all of it. I don't want to call it content because that's really offensive to me.
Why is that?
Because it's
it sounds like filler.
Yeah.
But kind of. Right?
Yeah.
Filler.
If you don't care the way the lighting feels, or the way your furniture is, and you're not putting in effort and you don't have any style and you don't have any care, I care. And the way I curate what I do, it's not only the writing, it's I call myself the rock tumbler. It goes through my rock tumbler and I know it's going to work.
At the top of the podcast, you mentioned you feel like there's a shift coming in Hollywood. Is that what you're referring to? Like a shift to more creative endeavors rather than big budget, flashy?
It's after this wildfire is just going to go through everything. There was a certain point that I had this wonderful project with Swampy Marsh, who created Phineas and Ferb and Milo Murphy's Law with Dan Povenmire. And Richard O'Brien, who wrote The Rocky Horror Show, total legend. He wrote this gorgeous thing. And I've never pitched something harder and worked harder for something that I you know, and I would give people instructions on how to listen to it. Like, close your door. It's about 38 minutes. Throw your phone in the toilet, sit back, listen to this, read the libretto. Like, it was just this gorgeous thing. And everybody was afraid of it. And then I'd be like, what happened to those cool people we met last week? Oh, one was fired, the company folded. Like, that's the way it's been.
Yeah, boy.
And so you can't blame people.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
You know, it's, you know, things get built up and you got this great avenue. Oh, what do you mean they don't work there anymore? Well, the company folded? Oh,
yeah.
Back to the drawing board. Then you start over.
Yeah, and it's also, I mean, that's just the schism that exists right now. And I just feel like it's going to shift. But it's the same thing, and it's the same, you know, advice that you give to somebody who's like, I want to get into voiceover, I want to get into music, I want to get into graphic design. Well, you gotta do it. You gotta practice. You know, like, you gotta do your work before the day you start the job.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
That's such a resounding statement, you know, like, throughout all of entertainment.
Yeah.
I mean, I even get people asking me, like, I want to start a podcast. Like, oh, you guys have a podcast. What's going on? And I'm like, just do it. Like, literally use your phone and just record it.
Yeah.
Like, just go do something. Because you learn so much along the way.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is my first time ever doing a podcast. I've learned so much over this course of a year. You know, it's like, it's being...
How did you guys meet?
Yeah.
Joe's my stepfather.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
He looks just like me.
Yeah.
Wait, I remember this.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Wait, I remember hearing like about you have a daughter.
Well, I have 4 of them.
That's right.
Yeah. So
That's right.
I mean, they're all grown
You
up.
were the girl dad, and then I became the girl mom.
Yes.
Oh wow!
Yes. With Odessa and
Yeah, Gideon and Rocket.
Have you ever worked with your daughters?
Yeah, actually, Gideon and I did the Ghost and Molly McGee together,
What was that experience
there was
like?
something.
and also another one.
And she was a little nipper, right?
No, that was later.
Oh.
That was later. But I know like Cree brings her girls in to the studio to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's so funny. It's just that's so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Nepo
me too.
babies.
That's right.
I actually wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about that because your family was in the entertainment industry, and I feel like there's so much criticism for Nepo babies these days. Did you ever feel that growing up? What was that like experiencing that?
I did not have that experience because that was a different time. I also feel like the term Nepo baby is a very now, like, of this time.
For sure, 100%.
You know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's like, you know, here's the thing. If somebody's related to somebody and it makes somebody interested to meet you, it gets you in the room. But then you've got to have
You got to have the chops.
something.
Yeah.
You got to have something going on.
You got to have something to keep you there in the room.
Like, you can't look at Cooper Hoffman, I think that's Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, and go, he only got it because his dad was the greatest American character actor. Like,
And then there's the stereotype of like the lazy rich kid who has no ambition. You can't have both, you know, like you can't have.
but that's, I think, why it's a stanky kind of, you know, label, because it's like the people who come from it who didn't like put in the work. You want people,
But you have that. You have that in anything, though. Like nobody really gets mad at like somebody who goes works for their parents' financial firm. You know, like that's not like, oh, you only got this. It's like, oh yeah, it's expected. You know, like oh, my parents work in the mines. Like I'm probably gonna go work in the mines too. You know, or like a family coffee shop. You know, nobody's like, oh, you work at this coffee shop because your parents own it. You know, it's like, oh, okay, that makes perfect sense.
I mean, it's called Heinz and Sons.
Yeah,
but you're the grandson.
And I'm like you know, my dad's an actor and like I was raised on set and, you know, that whole world like enamored me, you know, being on a soundstage, seeing the creation of all these different worlds, you know, especially a sci-fi show. And it was like, yeah, no kidding. I want to do this. Like, it's like my whole livelihood. It's my environment growing up. Like,
totally. You know, what I was exposed to, like I grew up on sound stages and, you know, and in the publishing world and, you know, with comics and you know, that was just a huge part of what formed me. And I love horror and my dad wrote horror comics as well. And then just like kind of moving through all those phases, I didn't really know, but I did. There was one time my dad was doing a pilot with Jimmy Comack, who was like the producer of like Welcome Back Kotter and Chico and the Man. And like, this is all the OG back in the 70s stuff. And it was a musical of Archie. And it was
Archie Comics.
Archie Comics. And it was Audrey and Judy Landers. And
oh my God.
I don't remember the rest of the cast, but I was like obsessed with what was going on there. But all I wanted to do was to pretend to be a producer. And I was like 11 years old.
Oh, wow.
And like I threw a scarf around my neck because I thought that's what producers.
How about a beret?
Wear scarves.
Maybe a beret.
Or a or whatever the hell this is. And I remember I grabbed, they had like, there was a script like on a chair in the audience seats. And I put it under my arm. And I was terrified that somebody was going to go, what are you doing with that, little boy? Because my hair was like so short. And everybody called me him when I was 10 and 11. And I remember Jimmy Comack let me do the warm-up for the audience when I was 11 and tell jokes. And
wow.
Yeah.
You must have had a lot of gland. That's awesome.
Yeah, I had some glands.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
I think I told some inappropriate jokes.
I'm sure you did.
Which is... God.
I'm tempted to ask if you can remember them. Or you just have to make up a new dirty joke, I suppose.
I mean...
No.
I remember one, which was like, how does an alien or somebody put on deodorant? And then I just sprayed the deodorant went like this. Like it was like an after. It's a visual.
It is.
For you listeners.
That's right. Oh, hopefully they're watching. Oh.
Can I ask, do you find it easier to be an actor taking directions or be the director giving the directions?
Here's the thing. I love, as an actor, a director who gives me a direction. But, you know, being an actor who's done many different series, like, you know, 7 seasons of Californication, 13 seasons of King of the Hill, and whatever else I've done, you know when somebody has something to offer you. And that's where I learned the most. I caught myself. Because you want me to look at you here. That's where I learned the most as a director being an actor. Because I knew the value when somebody would come to the show, like with the revolving directors. And, you know, because actors don't give a shit about focal lengths. They don't care about whatever toys you've got. They need something. So tell me something. And when you're watching a show or a movie or a play, do you really care about the drone shot over the Florida Keys and Roadhouse?
Maybe not consciously.
But subconsciously,
I think it adds.
If the acting is raw and bad, you're like, there was no director here.
Yeah.
So I learned from being an actor going, Daddy, give me something. You know, we don't need to talk about the 3 different...
Well, acting and reacting. It's...
Yeah. And you that's why I'm like, you know, you've got to do the work before you go to work. So it's different for me. Like when I'm an actor, I do my line work and everything when I get to the set. As a director, I think about the whole piece, but I like to work organically with everybody who's there. As an actor as well, but you're within the constraints of the director's vision. Yeah.
Wow.
But I love both. You know, I just did an episode of Elsbeth, which was on this last week. And when I went there, I was like, oh my God, I think I forgot how to, I can't do this. And on day 3, after lunch, I was like, oh, I get it.
Oh, Jesus.
It's a totally different thing, tonally. And it was so much fun. And I just love that. And I'm going to do an episode of this show called Mid-Century Modern this week and play Nathan Lane's sister and Linda Lavin's daughter.
Oh, wow. Nathan Lane's sister.
I'm dying. Like,
wow.
And if you guys haven't seen The Birdcage or the original Alice, forget it. Go see it now. But, it's like I'm going across the genres still. Like, that's the way I came up. So I did Elsbeth, and now I'm going to do Mid-Century Modern, which is like a multicam, which I haven't done, in probably like 18 years.
Was Californication multicam? No, it was single?
No. That was a single.
Interesting.
Camera.
I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah.
Wow, it was well done.
Yeah.
How long were the days on that show?
I don't even know. Not too brutal.
Yeah.
Not too bad for me. But yeah, we weren't multicam on that, but it really is like, so for me, I just directed a feature, and then I did Elsbeth. I'm going to do Mid-Century Modern, but the consistency of animation has stayed in my life, and it's like I can't even believe it. Like, I pinch myself that I get to still go to LA studios every other week, and
that's so cool.
You know what I mean? Cool. Like, because I do like Hamster and Gretel, and I go and I look at the animation, and I'm like, this is incredible.
Hamster and Gretel.
Yeah.
That's nice.
That's Dan Povenmire's show.
Yeah. Oh, God.
And it's funny.
Yeah, well, they're pretty good, those guys.
So good.
They really are. Yeah. They're perfect weirdos, which I love that about them.
Yeah. Like their eccentricity has all of the stuff like that we came from now as part of what we do.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. So when you come up with characters, do you do the same thing I do? Do bad impressions of your relatives and people like that?
Oh my God, I love that.
How do you conjure up your critters? Because I've had people have asked me this, so I figured I'm going to turn around and ask it of others. I have a mini philosophy that if you do a perfect impression of somebody nobody knows, it's a new character because they don't know.
That's right.
If you do a terrible impression of someone everybody knows, they don't even know who it is, that's a new character. And if you put two people together and kind of come up with what like I have a character, Hondo Onaka, who's Yul Brynner and Charles Bronson. Now that would be one ugly kid. But actually, Hondo's not that good looking, so maybe that does.
Oh my God! What does he sound like?
Well, he sort of sounds like this. I can't believe the good fortune that you must have had to have run into me today. Because you see, I have an investment opportunity for you. Just lend me your wallet. And he's that's him.
Oh.
And that's Yul Brynner and Charles Bronson. And no one's ever busted me on it.
Because nobody could ever. Are you kidding? I do have a Charles Bronson on black velvet in the living room of my house that I live
Wow.
in. Yeah. I also have a painting of George C. Scott as Patton and the Rat Pack. Like, these are the things that.
Charles Bronson on black velvet.
Oh, yeah. I'll take a picture and send it to you later.
Please.
I know.
Oh, my God.
That's
wonderful.
Of course I do my relatives. Of course.
Isn't that, okay.
Of course. And, whenever, I mean, reality shows, if you like see a character on a reality show, you're like, you pause it and you go back. You're like, this is insane. Like, this is the best opportunity for this voice. But we don't have as many jobs and opportunities to do it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and creators are doing their own voices. Do you find that?
Yeah, those bastards.
I know.
Those bastards.
I know.
Yeah.
But like I remember this girl in a park one time and like everybody's got like a different, like she didn't have an upper lip and she was like, "Did you see my dog?" You know, and there's different things that, you know, I used to answer the phone at home and answer it. Hello. And my daughters would it's so funny because I'm dry right now.
I hate those voices that do the
you
stretch.
have to sustain for 4 hours.
Yes.
So when you're doing like a female Yoda, don't you know?
Oh man.
You know, now I sound like Andy Kaufman, but they're all in there. They're all in there.
Better that than Andy Devine.
Who's
Well, exactly. He was Gene Autry's. I think it was Gene Autry's sidekick. The old. He was one of the
Oh
old.
my
He was one of
God.
the old sidekicks from westerns.
You know, you said Critters to me, and I remember one of my first also jobs was Capitol Critters at Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah. I remember that show.
I still
wasn't
look at
on
that
it, but-
building, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
Like, I
where
wish it was
used to
still-
be. Yeah. Yeah, right across from. Yeah, that I was surprised they took that down because I
they
mean,
made it an apartment building.
yeah, I not that it should have been in the Smithsonian, but it was weird.
I think it should.
Yeah.
The Hanna-Barbera animation studios are now an apartment building.
We need housing
Yes.
too, okay? We need housing.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, we got to put
Yeah,
these
it's
people
this.
somewhere.
It's this just like generic building across from LA Studios on Cahuenga.
And they churned out so many cartoons for so many years.
God.
You know what cracks me up, and I can still see them doing it. Some of the animators, because they all worked, they were right there.
Everything happened at Hanna-Barbera. Boom, boom. Here's some music. Here's the recording. Here's Gordon Hunt. Okay, and now here's the art room. Here, okay, good. And here we're painting all these cells, and they had these really, really thick cells,
Animation cells. And they would flick them down the hallway.
then run and jump and slide on them, and ruin them. And you'd go out and you see the dumpster, you know, because it was out there where you parked your car, right behind it, and there would be piles like this thick. I mean, it had to weigh probably like 50 pounds, just that thing.
Oh my God.
Of Huckleberry Hound or Quick Draw, who only knows?
Quick Draw
You know,
McGraw.
the Flintstone kids. And there were all these cells that nowadays would be like, you know, you grab a hold of that and you could sell it and retire.
Well,
That's it.
at the time, they probably don't think it's ever going to be valuable, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
even at the time of recording this, like if you told me sometime in the future, like SD cards are going to be valuable, like, oh, this is the original SD card with,
Or-
you know.
Yeah.
An iPod first generation or your Walkman.
Yeah.
Because everybody so fetishizes the past, but they're so eager to wipe it away. You know, people aren't taking care of archiving, you know, and it's getting erased just like racism. So anyway, sorry. LOL, let's not go there. Cool. Women are great. Cool. Yeah. But I did my first series, animated series at LA Studios when they used to have Jimmy in the bathroom.
There we go.
Do you remember what they had in the bathrooms at LA Studios? This is how far back we go. When George used to be in the upstairs, and he would say, you know, remember the engineer George upstairs at LA Studios who like plays in a band at the Baked Potato still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He used to be in like Studio C upstairs. He would say, "Okay, roll the black shit," because it was these big
gigantic spools.
of
And
tape.
it was tape like this thick, this wide.
fat tape.
Yeah.
And George would always go, "Roll the black shit." I mean, I started doing animation when we would go in, audition in the booth, and they would tighten the reels.
Yes.
My agents would tighten the reels.
That's right.
It's so
like
unbelievable. Yeah, exactly.
It was like, yeah.
Paul
What was in the
Doherty.
bathroom?
Huh?
What was in the bathroom?
What was in the bathroom at LA Studios?
Yeah.
A bidet.
Oh, that's right.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right.
There was a bidet in the bathroom at LA Studios.
You would spend hours in there.
Well, my first series was called Phantom 2040. And Stu Silver was the director.
Phantom, that was the guy who lived in Africa, and he had the Phantom, like from the comic books?
I don't know. It was Phantom 2040, and it took place in LA, and I played Sparks.
Oh. Okay.
And it was like in the future, and I would talk about him and say, "Me, I'm just a kid." And then, Jeff Bennett was in it, and I remember he had a line that he was like, "We're gonna get some food tubes, and we're gonna res down," and nobody knew what they were saying or doing.
Yeah, it was future speak.
It was future speak.
Yeah.
It was Jeff Bennett, Scott Valentine, Leah Remini, Carrie Snodgrass, Margot Kidder, Paul Williams.
Whoa.
It was just
I just saw him a few weeks ago.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, I was obsessed with him.
Character, yeah.
What a guy. What a wow, that was a cast.
Yeah, that was my first series. I know.
Wow.
Incredible.
That's an amazing cast. That's not bad right out of the gate, huh?
I know, and how we used to always we would all do shows together.
Yeah.
Which I love. I think that's the only way to do it.
We miss it. We miss it.
Yeah. Yeah. Make a note. Hollywood,
I did one
wherever you are.
series with Taj Mahal that he did a voice in, and he would have his steel
gotta be his
dobro.
voice. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
And he would clang the guitar against the mic stand, and I'd be like, "Is this usable?"
Yeah.
But
man.
Taj Mahal, we would all hang out together. And I was pregnant with my first daughter, and Taj Mahal sang a song to her while she was in my belly. I mean,
man, come on. What do you want? Egg in your beer? That's some legendary shit right there.
I mean, there's a brown girl in the ring. La-di-da-di-da. I love him so much.
Oh, man. Yeah, I haven't thought of him in a long time. I used to have all his albums.
You remember when you voiced a character on Darkwing Duck, Pamela?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
was
you
I
did.
in that?
I think,
You're a Darkwing, right?
I was Darkwing, yeah.
You voiced Heatwave.
Yeah, you and E.G., I think, and Tara.
Oh, we were
The
Duck Days.
Well, that too. Yeah, but you did a Darkwing.
I wrote it down somewhere.
I did?
You were one of Goslin. You were Goslin's angry sort of personality called Heatwave, kind of like Inside Out, but for Goslin. And it was you and E.G. Daly and someone else were the three feelings.
Was it
the Frequency Friends. Your character was the anger personality of Goslin.
Yeah, Heatwave.
Yes,
was called.
And it was kind of like a big shock.
Oh my God.
You got to play someone who was pissed off.
Yeah, everybody was like, I mean, I always got cast as I don't need you. I don't need anybody like that. Or the bully. Or like the Irish, what was the one on Jakers? I was Hector. You're Irish. The ghost with the 13 fingers. But, I'm just
I hate
dry.
I hate the voices that do that to me. That's why when we were doing the Tasmania show, I always did it on Friday afternoon, just because I didn't want to, shred my pipes.
No, I remember doing I did a ton of games, which I'm sure you did. And those were the hardest to do. Hours and hours of the same.
It's tedious.
Yeah.
Okay, you're falling from 5 feet. Now you're falling from 10 feet. Now you're falling. Okay, now you're falling from the third moon of Jupiter. Okay, so I'm falling, huh?
It's so true.
Oh, and you're on fire. By the way, you're on fire, and you're in an acid bath.
I did this one game, Pajama Sam, for many different reboots and boots of this game, and Pajama Sam. There's no need to hide when it's dark outside. There's no need to hide. I'm not afraid of monsters. Move to the dresser. Open the door.
Ooh.
And then I did the voice of Arthur, which was Microsoft was like going into like making this. It was a giant doll that they sold for like $150. Good luck.
Tons. Yeah.
And it took me a year, and it was so hard because the voice had to be pure, like had to be like right here,
Right.
and it couldn't crack. It couldn't go up or down because the chip in the doll.
Yeah.
And so, like,
that weird ass
the
chip.
number one direction I would always get would be like, say it with a smile. Can you say it with a smile? And I would do the sessions with the picture of my daughters on the mic stand, on the music stand, going, I'm doing it for them.
That's right. That's right.
Because nobody else was earning money. No offense. Yes, offense.
Yeah. I had a job like that. And Esquire Magazine gave it the Dubious Achievement of the Year award just for the name. And it was called My Interactive Poo.
Oh, my God.
And I was my interactive poo. And I all I could imagine is it's just a lump of brown clay. But anyway, yeah, but it was poo, and it was like little stories. Well, one day I was going through the woods with my friend Freddie, and then I said to him, Freddie, would you like to come over here, Freddie? And it was all, and then here comes Freddie, and
Oh, my God.
And the rub was that I had to say every name on earth.
Oh.
Because you had to download
I thought they would say their, oh, God. Yeah.
So we would do the story, and I would just put a gap for the name, and then the story would continue. Story's over. And now we have to start Adam, Admar, Abdul, Agnes. And by the time I got
Stop it.
Zero, Zingo, and I was in the S's forever.
Oh my God.
Who knew? Because the name Chautauqua, Shaniqua, Shabuzi, Shapanowitz, Shagunkaforten, and just on and on and on and on until, and they wanted me to do 3 in a row so that they could pick. No, I will do 1.
Oh,
and there were millions of names. Thousands and over 10,000 names.
So
yeah.
Yeah, I did so many toys and games, and then I started getting into, the dubbing the anime with Jack Fletcher. And I did like a whole bunch of stuff with him. We did Kiki's Delivery Service. We did Trumpet of the Swan. I mean, which is like so fascinating because they find a way to make English come out of Japanese mouth flaps.
Yeah, that's hard to do.
And it worked.
Yeah.
It was incredible. And then I did a film called Vampire Hunter D, which I think that was like the first CG, and the animation was gorgeous.
Oh, wow.
The Animatrix. But I remember like working with Ginny McSwain, and she calls me Diaper to this day. Like if I see her, she'll be like, Diaper.
Oh, that's a nice name.
Because I was the voice of Love's Diapers for many years.
Oh, my
And I would be, hi, I'm Little Loves. And I did all these commercials, and I was a diaper.
Wow.
And so Ginny called me Diaper from then on.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
Well, you win. The weird...
No,
I mean...
You're what fills me up. You were the interactive poop.
I was the interactive poo.
I am the diaper.
I gave you the gig.
Come to me, Jimmy.
What I love about doing this podcast is you can just tell that it's such a family, that 80s, 90s voice community were just so close. Do you think that kind of community in today's voice actors exists? I don't feel like it, does it?
I don't think so.
It can't, because everybody is remote and people work in an isolated vacuum.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We were talking about this a couple of weeks ago on a podcast, and it's interesting how like this topic's come up, over and over again on this podcast about, the old days of working in a studio together. And I find it fascinating now that like the voice actors get together in a studio now for a podcast instead of doing their work. Yeah. This is like the only time that we're in studio together, is a different kind of studio. It's evolved. And
it's really true. We were there. Like we used to be like green rooms, at King of the Hill. We'd spend the whole day and like,
I think
like Gwen Stefani, No Doubt was in the show, and we'd hang out with Gwen Stefani, and then Green Day was in the show.
Yes, it is.
Is it Jin? Yeah, she's probably lost like I was.
I'll come out and get you right now.
Yeah.
That's one thing about King of the Hill, because I do a podcast on King of the Hill, and I couldn't believe, even in the first season, just how many amazing... I think it was like episode 4, and you had Willie Nelson on the show. You had guest stars from the get-go.
Oh, my God. I think that was episode... Because I always thought it was like the pilot or something, but it was Willie Nelson and Pat Morita.
Yeah.
Ooh. And that was Wee Matanye. Wasn't it?
Yes. No, it was the golf one.
Oh, my God. I remember... So
it's called Hank Got the Willies, I think it's called, or something like that.
Yes! Yeah. Yes! Wow. We recorded the entire first season of King of the Hill at Fox on the Daryl Zanuck stage.
Yeah.
On a sound stage. Okay, listen.
Whoa.
We would be in a sound stage all day. We couldn't make any noise. And then the studio was basically 3 baffled walls in the back of the soundstage. And I remember Willie Nelson and Pat Morita being back there and then joining them. It's just unbelievable.
I remember I worked with Pat Morita a few times.
And he was notorious for imbibing a little bit of
the weed?
I think it was more of a liquid nature. But he walked in, we were sitting over there at B&B, and we're all sitting around and going, this will be so cool. And it was Karate Kid. We were actually doing a Karate Kid, and he was playing himself.
Wow.
And so he comes walking in, and he's doing the best drunk walk you've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he, don't worry, everybody, it's gonna be fun. Anyway, can I have a coffee? And everybody
so
went,
good.
oh, thank you.
So
yeah, it was like,
good.
He's sober. It's good. We can do it. We can do it. Okay, we can do it now.
Yeah, but
I mean, we got to work with so many people. I mean, Tony Anselmo was our Donald Duck when we did Quack Pack, and Wayne and Rusey. I worked with Wayne and Rusey.
Mickey and Minnie in real life, and then also
they were married.
And
actually,
then Mickey and Minnie were never married. What are you gonna do?
They were living in sin.
They were living in sin.
Charles Fleischer. Who was the voice of Roger Rabbit, who was like a stone cold genius. I'm sorry. I'm in the middle of Wait, what is my name?
Diaper.
Oh.
I just said.
I didn't know we were walking in.
She's going to walk. I guess I don't matter.
Diaper.
Let's get Ginny in. Ginny, join the cast. Let's get 3 of you in. Come on, let's do it.
Sit down. You can talk into that microphone.
Right here?
Yeah.
I'm so glad to see. When they told me that you were ahead of me, I was like, I'm honored. I love you so much.
Sorry, it's just this plastic.
Oh, no, so much
Excuse us, folks.
One eternity later.
Here's what I say about you. Besides loving her, and I never see enough of her anymore, of course.
Good.
Pamela Adlon, diaper. You are the same person that I knew. How many years ago now? I'm embarrassed to say. Sometime in the early 80s, late 80s. But anyway, you're the same person. All the time.
You're so sweet.
And that's what I loved watching your show. I thought this is, it was very European. Because whenever you saw like a foreign film, what I loved about foreign films is it was like a slice of life.
Yeah.
Remember, they didn't have a beginning, middle, and end for somebody. And I would watch her take a subject matter and that wonderful fucking cast. I was like, I could have called you after every one and stayed up all night talking to you about it. They were... Jim, did you watch this series? I was like, I
did, yes.
I thought, this is magic. This is this girl.
Yeah.
And some of the concepts and some of the lines, the dialogue, your cast. Oh, come on.
Did you see the one I had Billy West and Tom Kenny?
Yes!
And Billy did The Wind.
Yeah. And you had my boyfriend, Kevin Michael Richardson, on there as well, doing his Tony Soprano.
Oh, that's right!
This is stuff that I was like...
Oh, yeah.
She didn't like saturate it with all the voice talent. I loved it. It was about her film career. It was about those girls, the daughters. Bitchy, sassy daughters, and darling, seeing them grow up on your show. Oh my God! And of course that wonderful English actress that plays your mother,
Celia Emery.
Such a fan.
Like a dame and shit.
And Cree Summer.
I know. I'm so happy you brought that up, because the thing about that is that Cree had not been on camera for 25 years. And
wow, that doesn't sound right, does it?
Remember she was on Bill Cosby's spinoff.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was pregnant with my first daughter, I was doing 7 shows. And one of them, or 2 of them, was with Cree. But Cree was so freaked out because she hadn't been on camera in so long that Felicia Fasano, my casting director, she called me and said Cree didn't show up. And I was like, oh. So we had to get Cree to get her back in there.
Oh my God.
And it was so awesome because, it's like we're so loved and embraced in this community that that you're picking up on, and this woman kept hiring me.
Can I Well, and we never had a big show together. We had a lot of guest stars until we did Duck Days, or is that what it was called?
Yeah.
We had Quack Pack
Something
or whatever
Quack
it was
Pack.
called.
Yeah, that's it.
And they were the Huey, Dewey, and Louie. E.T.
Quack Pack.
Elias.
I wasn't Duck Days. I was in Quack Pack. Hi.
Yeah. That's why I brought my resume, because I didn't study it. But this girl, I was in love. But even on minor things. But one little thing about Cree Summer. Marcia Goodman found her in Toronto and she was like, God, 16, 17. And then she would send me, I was, the gun for hire, working for crazy Andy Hayward, and who I love. And I would go and meet this girl named Cree, and the rest is history. She came through Dick as we called it.
Yeah.
Dick!
Yeah, she came through there, and she was a rock star voice when she was like 18.
Totally.
And I love her too. I don't see her, I don't see anybody. And this is like a big deal for me to be here. So I'm
I still see Cree. I still see Cree. Happy. And I see your buddy at LA Studios, who's got the office in the back.
I haven't been inside that studio since 2019.
Oh my
And
God.
I left finishing up some shows, and I was turning a certain number, and I thought, this is probably going to be it.
Yeah.
Jamie Simone met me outside of Studiopolis and said, I'm sorry. I went to LA. You're talking about LA Studios?
Yeah.
Jeff Howell.
That's what yes.
I was just with Jeff last night.
Yeah.
Jeff,
no kidding.
The beautiful. Oh yeah, we're really good friends.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, he drove Miss Daisy to something last night.
Yeah.
And
where did Hoke take you, Miss Daisy?
Hoke and I are quite a thing, and he's like the dubbing king now. He is tremendous. How do you want to say it? He's like the king of dubbing.
Like the Jack Fletcher?
Yeah. Yes. And that's what he does exclusively. And he teaches Zoom classes and all this shit. I don't know if anybody does it. But, leaving in 2019, wrapping it up, I can still see it was the fall of 2019. Who knew what was ahead of us? I remember Jamie Simone back at Studiopolis saying to me, I think I might have something for you in March. And I was like, oh, okay, Rhoda. And, of course, the pandemic hit and everything changed. And I did kind of a failed series. I shouldn't probably mention it, but I will. Magic the Gathering. We did 12 episodes, and my dear friend Jeff, I'm so excited. Jeff Klein hired me, and of course, it was 2020 fall. He gets in touch with me, and I'm thinking, this is all over for me, and I don't really care. I'm really kind of done.
Yeah.
But he called me up. He said, Jenny, I want you to do this. And it was this fantasy, if you know Magic the Gathering. It's not my thing at all. But we ended up, long story short, we had a great cast. The show was like, just shoot me. It's like, the scripts were like curing cancer for me. Just not my thing. And, I worked my ass off. We had a great cast, and they mostly came in during it. We started recording in the fall of...
oh, good.
On January 6th, the Insurgent Day. That was my first... It should have been a sign. But we did 12 episodes. Jeff Howell, I dragged in to be my assistant, and he was fabulous. And that's the LA Studios thing, where he said, I said, if you ever run into Pam coming in...
Yeah.
And then we did it. Did pickups a year later, and then they
trashed the whole show.
Netflix pulled it.
Yeah.
And I hear they're doing it again. Mazel tov, everybody.
Enjoy.
Have a ball.
Try the veal. I won't be here all week.
But our cast was very eclectic, and most of them came in. Of course, they were masked, and we had the barriers and all that stuff. And Stephen Root was in it. I mean, we had some beautiful people.
He was great. He's great.
Oh, I love him. Oh my God.
Yeah, he's like an uncle.
So the ones I like, I really like. And the ones that I don't, I never have to see again.
That's right.
Didn't you also direct me in Pajama Sam?
Yes. Oh, I don't know if that's on my resume.
You should! People are like obsessed with Pajama Sam.
Pajama Sam.
So was... The only reason it wasn't painful is because I got to do it with Mama. And we did it together, and she was like, say it again. $5, let me beat you up.
$5
Like, I remember all of this. $5, let me beat you up.
Have cash incentives, kind of like with you. $50 if you'll,
I'll give you $5 cash if you do it the right way.
Oh my God, the constant, like...
Can I tell you something?
Now go to the door!
Yeah. Whoa! Kind of
oh my God.
Texture voices.
You do the best boys and the funny boys.
Yes.
But I'm going to tell you something, and I hope this is in the podcast, because I hate to say this after almost 45 years.
Don't compliment me.
This is going to be Mimi Ayala right now. I'm going to say, I did a lot of shows, but I did it because I loved you guys. The actors I loved all the way.
Yeah.
And when I was having a shitty day or a shitty time on a show.
Totally.
And by the way, we had some great writers. We had some, Ken Kessel, Bruce Talkington. He used to call me Cupcakes McSweet.
Cupcake McSweet.
Right?
I was thinking of that just 5 seconds ago.
But we had some really wonderful people in that booth with us. And of course, we'll get into that. But anyway, I did it for, I was an actor's director, and I loved talking and being with you guys.
Most of the time, we didn't understand what we were saying.
No.
And Charlie Adler would say, just say the fucking lines and shut up.
Yeah.
And I mean, he would be like, you're overthinking it.
Yeah.
By the way,
I would be like, I don't understand why the jungle is with my banana or whatever. He's like, are you fucking kidding me?
But Charlie came along later. He was a voice director later. I mean, he was my...
No. This is when he was an actor.
Have you seen him?
Oh, he would turn to... No, I haven't seen Charlie.
He's Moses.
Yeah, and he's got a nice marriage going on. And
totally.
God bless.
He looks like
Marshall is very, very
nice.
I have not talked to Charlie in ages. He's ghosting me, so there you go.
Oh, fine.
Yeah, I lost him in the shuffle. But, just knowing you guys, and you have to understand what you did. I mean, I stopped having, when I was voice directing, and I'll say I was the first female director out there, or director period. Mm-hmm. There wasn't a thing called a voice director until Gordon Hunt and I started together. Yeah. And Gordon was my mentor at Hanna-Barbera. I mean, do you want to hear all this? I mean,
yes.
Sure, please.
Okay, what was I saying?
You were talking about back in the day.
That's fascinating. Gordon Hunt, Helen Hunt's dad.
Yeah.
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 Well, because Joe Barbera brought Gordon Hunt in, who had done a play that I think Joe had written in the late 50s. So Gordon Hunt directed that play. I don't know, how they met before that. But then, don't forget, this world was creator driven. This wasn't about a voice director. The creators all directed their own shows, whether they could or not.
Back in the day,
and Joe Barbera, directed a lot of them.
Yeah.
And that's how this all came together.
Yeah.
But later, there was a show called Wait Till Your Father Comes Home.
Yeah. Wait Till Your Father Gets Home. The live action.
Yes.
Is there a live action?
Show. Oh,
I think.
Yeah.
Well, this was an
Wait till your father gets. Until your father
I
gets.
only watched The Sopranos and your show. The other things.
Oh, yeah.
So I probably don't know that. And I was watching Goodfellas before I came over. But anyway, Gordon did this animated thing, Wait Till Your Father Gets Home. I think it was 1968.
Totally.
And then, little did we know. I mean,
Hong Kong Fooey.
the fact that Gordon and I were put together is
Found together. Yeah.
so
That's
odd.
incredible.
Well, it was because I had worked in. How far do you want to go back on this? Because
you guys should talk about that.
I mean,
I need to
I don't
go.
know, Pam's here the whole time.
I love everybody. I love everything.
I'm so glad I got to see you, Pam. You're so
Before we go, Chris, can we just get Ginny, just get Pamela to just do one Bobby Hill line so Jim can copy it for voice swap, Chris?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
Love you and appreciate
Can we do one thing, 30 seconds before you go?
What's it?
We want to do a voice swap. You're going to do your voice as Bobby, and Jim will do the same line in another voice.
As Winnie the Pooh.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I don't know you. That's my purse.
I don't know you. That's my purse. That's my honey pot.
Oh. And literally, I was at a restaurant before this where the waiter came over and brought the check, and he said the chef found out that you were here, and he wants you to know he's getting this tattooed on his body, and he shows me a picture of Bobby with the purse, and I'm like, why? And then he said, will you sign this so he can do an overlay? I'm like, I didn't just take a calligraphy class. Please don't put this pressure on me. Yeah. It's so sweet.
I love that.
But there are so many people who love the characters that we've done that they've got us all over their body, baby.
You know what? That's incredible, though, isn't it? I mean, the impression that you guys have made, it's big. It's big. Don't ever sell yourself short on that. Look, it's amazing. Yeah. Bye, Brendan.
Bye-bye. Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you, too.
Me, girl. I try and get up to I love you.
Jenny.
I'm so glad I got to see
Jenny, what they do. They smile in your face.
Danny, man. Oh, my God. How do you even remember that?
Of course. You formed me.